Yeah. So yeah.
We live, we live, we live. Okay, we live, y'all. How you doing today, brother?
What's
How
good?
you
What's good,
doing?
my guy? What's good?
Okay, so for the people who don't know who you are, you'll introduce yourself by giving them your name.
Yeah. My name is Shamal Carter. Around town, I'm better known as Rico.
Rico, Rico. So, you are running for Arkansas House of Representatives, correct?
Correct, correct. I am. I am the Democratic nominee here
The
in Northeast Arkansas.
Northeast. So that's over the whole Northeast Arkansas area, or just
So
Jonesboro?
uh, my district is East Jonesboro, starting at Arkansas State University, and then it extends over to Truman, Bay Truman, and then around to Lepanto.
To Lepanto. Oh, so you
Yeah,
go a little bit further.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay, so for the ones who don't know you, you feel like giving a little background on yourself, like outside of the politics,
yeah,
the
yeah.
person.
Of course, man. I'm from Wynne, Arkansas. Grew up there. Came to college here in Jonesboro, 2009 ish. Originally went to Missouri, but ended up here in Jonesboro. Uh, man, I've been pretty much been in Jonesboro my whole life. My family's originally from Jonesboro, but went to college, got a degree, general education degree from John Wesley University. I got a master's in public health from uh, my mind went blank. Liberty University. Um, I was previous president of the NAACP. Man, I'm a father. I'm a grandfather. Um, man, that's the basics, man. I'm
Yeah,
just a regular guy. Uh,
a regular guy.
uh, Pretty much worked in nonprofits my entire career. Worked in mental health and nonprofits, man. Just been all about advocating for youth, mental health, and things like that. So that man, that is my basic background. And the deeper we get into tonight's podcast, man, I'll be able to tell you more. But beyond that, man, that's the basics.
Okay, so you say you was the former president of the NCAAP, right?
Yeah. Uh huh.
Okay, what happened with that situation, if you don't mind me asking?
So I'm running for state office, which is a partisan position, and so because it is an organization that does not endorse or side with one political party. I had to resign my position as president in order to run for state office.
Okay, so that leads to my next question. So, what made you want to get into the politics? So you had to drop your role as president of NCAAP to become a Democrat and run for House of Representatives. So, what led up to that decision?
So, man, over the years, I'm just gonna be honest with you, man. I feel like we've become forgotten. It seems like the younger generation, and I'm not as young as you guys, but I'm still in my 30s. Uh, we don't have equal representation. I found myself, fighting a fight for everybody else, and it seems like every time I will go in for a fight, and this is just honest with you, every time I go in to fight, man, it wouldn't be people from our generation. It wouldn't be people that I felt like understood the things that we went through, and so, man, probably about midway last year, when this current administration reversed Roe versus Wade. I'm a girl dad, and so,
Oh,
man, it did
yeah,
something
Dad,
to me.
me too.
And so you telling me that my daughter do not have a right to choose, and that bothered me. And so I made a decision then when they reversed that decision, which is Roe versus Wade, and then they went to attacking voters' rights and all these other things. I said, man, why not me? And so I said, I'm gonna throw my ring in the hat, man. And so last year in July, I put a team together. Once I put my team together, man, we announced September 27th of last year that we were gonna run, and then I resigned from the NAACP. Then when I resigned, man, I started going full force. November of last year, went to Little Rock and I filed, and man, we've been running ever since.
ever since. So, and I remember you saying it's no people like us. So, with for Arkansas House of Representatives, how many black people do you see in those positions?
From Northeast Arkansas, none.
None at all.
Northeast no, Northeast Arkansas, in the history of Jonesboro, has never elected an African American to serve in either district, and we have three. We have 3 seats. We have 3 seats here in Jonesboro, and an African American has never held that seat.
Have any ever ran for it? Like,
Yeah,
you think it's
so we've had some to run. We've had a few to run that I know of. I kind of did some research on it, and they've run. It's just um, with my background, I've had an opportunity to sit at tables, and I've had an opportunity to make friends with people that gave me a special insight. Not that made me more special than the next person, but it gave me an opportunity. That specific opportunity, I took advantage of it. It's, people always say, I want a seat at the table. Well, what are you gonna do when you get a seat at the table? And so,
exactly?
man, I got a seat at the table. When I got a seat at the table, I made sure that, man, and I'm just being honest with you. I made sure that not only did I have a seat there, I made sure that I was able to bring my own table. And over in this conversation tonight, I'm hoping it can lead into me building a table of young people to help everybody understand the role of politics in whatever position plays. And that's from the quorum court on the county level to city council to school board, all the way to the state and the federal level. There are so many different levels of government, and we as a culture we have complained so much. But I can personally say I've made myself vulnerable and I've put myself out there. People don't always agree with the decisions that I make, or they don't always agree with the way that I approach things. But I'm sitting at the table now, and this is an understanding of we have to not eat crow, but we have to be able to get to the table because they won't respect you until you're sitting at the table. I know that firsthand. I know firsthand that I can walk in rooms and people will flock to me just because of the work that I've done on the mental health side of things, not because of what I did with the NAACP. You know what I'm saying? But the other side of things, advocating for people with mental health issues, or advocating for children in the foster care system, or advocating for families that are food desolate and that are in a poverty. So now they roll with me because of that. You know what I'm saying? So
Right,
now I can kill two birds with one stone, by showing up, showing that we're not thugs, we're not heathens, we just need an opportunity. And I took advantage of that opportunity. And I'm hoping after tonight's conversation, we can get some young men together and we can make a decision that, hey, we can run them on the county level in the quorum court. We can run them on the school board level. I think one of the biggest mistakes we make is feeling like just because you have a degree in something, you know better than the person who have the real life experience. That's one of the biggest
yeah,
mistakes we make, here in Arkansas. Period.
yeah, it definitely is, and which that was gonna lead into my next question I had for you. Actually, like, what do you feel like the biggest problem is in Arkansas? Because like when you and I haven't been all over Arkansas, so I can't really speak for the whole state. But
Mhm.
typically, where I'm at here in Jonesboro and things like that, it seems as it's more favored for the whites and stuff like that, and the minorities don't really have a wide range of things that we can actually dip and dive into.
So Arkansas is cut into sections. Central Arkansas is more minority. Northeast Arkansas is more of the Caucasian persuasion. Um, and then when you get down to South Arkansas, it's kind of a mix. Northwest Arkansas is more, Marshallese. It's more diverse, but we have a lot of Caucasians in our area. The thing is, and this is being honest, man, we don't have things because we don't ask for a seat at the table. We got a new mall coming to Jonesboro. They're fixing to rebuild a mall, right?
Right.
How many of us is at the table saying we want urban wear stores?
You're
That,
right.
and you may say, well, man, they didn't ask me. They didn't ask me if I wanted a seat. I brought my own chair. And I made a seat. Like, hey, come talk to me. Like, hey, I know this, I know that. And the thing is, I wasn't forceful about it because everybody know that, I'm 6'3", 280, 290. You know what I'm saying? I'm a big guy. So if I'm loud and I'm forceful, then I'm a threat. So my
You're
thing
right.
is I learned to play a part of uh, the boundaries that were set until I can create my own. If that makes sense to you.
Yeah, it does. And with that, which uh, because I never voted a day in my life, which I've been hard on myself about that. Everybody got an opinion. Everybody want to say what we need to do for the black communities and X, Y, Z, but none of us getting out and voting. None of us going to these city council meetings or nothing like that. And
Hmm.
as a community, how do you feel that we can make that better for ourselves as far as getting people out to these voting polls and stuff like that?
Man, I was actually in Blytheville last night. I spoke at a town hall in Blytheville last night, and I told them there's three things that I need you to do. Because in order for us to prepare for this next generation to run for office, we got to prepare. How do we prepare? We got to show up. We don't have to talk when we first show up because in reality, when I first started this political career, I didn't know what I was talking about. But I had to show up, sit back, and pay attention to what everybody was doing, because in school I didn't learn about Robert's Rules of Order, but we know that majority of these board meetings and the majority of these meetings are ran, and pretty much what that is how procedures and policies are ran and how they're voted upon and how they're decided upon.
Right.
Somebody makes an amendment to the policy, and in order for somebody to have a say so, somebody has to oppose it. They'll ask everybody, okay, all in favor say aye. Somebody will say aye. So all in favor say nay. If someone opposes it, you have an opportunity to, okay, why do you oppose it? Or it wasn't a unanimous consent, and so it goes on record that somebody's opposing it. Right now, on certain levels of government, you don't have anybody opposing these malicious laws that they're putting forth, and man, it's hard. So when I'm talking to the young people, I asked somebody the other day, uh, while I was in Blythe, I said, "So let me ask you a question: how many of you guys have family or friends that are locked up for possession of marijuana?" The entire room raised their hand. So, okay, bet. I said, how many people know a couple years ago recreational marijuana was on the ballot to be passed in Arkansas? Everybody kind of looked like, huh, it was? I said, and did you know your legislators fought against it? Yet, crop here in Jonesboro is in the top 5 dispensaries in the state of Arkansas as far as the amount of money that they've made. And so now everybody's looking like, wait, what? I said, in order for you to know these things, you don't have to necessarily speak the lingo. But if somebody say, hey, so and so said that there's going to be marijuana, and I'm using marijuana just because that's one that a lot of people
That's the
relate to.
yeah. Everybody
Uh,
relates.
so that they're like, oh well, man, I didn't know that. So then I asked them. I said, so do you have a firearm? Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I keep a pistol. I said, and at this time when we had this conversation, I said, you do understand you can't possess a weed card and have a firearm. Can nobody tell me I can't have no guns? My constitutional right. At the time, they could because they considered it simultaneous possession. So you
Right.
have these conversations with people. And something that I've been doing, even as the president of the NAACP, something that I've been doing is I explain to them why this law affects you, why voting affects you. Half of our family, locked up because, and I honestly, because we didn't get out and vote.
I agree with that. I agree with that. And so like, and I feel like as a, especially with me kind of being young, I'm kind of getting in the, the middle age now.
Hmm.
Uh, but majority of my life, like, I never, like I said, I never voted. I don't know nobody personally around me that actually, went to vote either.
Hmm.
In school, when they talked about it, the biggest thing was us voting is not going to change nothing. A lot of us feel like us going to vote for the presidents and things like that isn't going to change anything. So like, let's say we all go out and vote for you. Like, what's one thing that you are trying to do for the black community? Because that's realistically like what everybody think about when it comes to voting. Like, what is it going to do to benefit us that we go into these voting polls and stuff?
So number one, I hate that saying that my vote don't count. That's one of the worst sayings that was ever created, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because everybody focuses on the presidential election, but in reality, that is not what truly affects you on the close level. You have to think about, we have a governor right here in the state of Arkansas that has required you to do every day to the door on certain offenses. And so
Yeah,
that's more that's on the state level. That has nothing to do with the presidential on the presidential level. And then you shift it, and you also take into consideration, when it comes to stand your ground and so on and so forth. We as a community, we don't know the laws. We just hear people say we can carry our gun. Or go back to the marijuana. We just hear people say, "Man, I can carry my weed around," but you don't know that all you can do is transport your marijuana from the dispensary to your home in a state approved container. Me personally, one thing that I want to focus on is healthcare, and I'll tell you why, because it's a trickle down effect. So when I say I want to focus on healthcare, I want to put an emphasis on, right now AR Home, which is the insurance that everybody have right now that don't have a job, that's kind of through DHS, et cetera, et cetera. January 1, so the federal government refused to renew our money so we can continue that program, right?
right,
January 1, everybody, 218,000 Arkansans will lose that coverage. When you lose that coverage, how can you afford to go to the doctor, right? All right,
right,
if you can't afford to go to the doctor, you're not working, or your job don't offer insurance. Now it shifts the tide to, um, my illness don't go away because you took my insurance away. So now I start to self medicate. When I go from self medicate, and how do I self medicate? I'm breaking in pharmacies. I'm buying pills off the street. I'm using methamphetamine. I'm using street drugs instead of getting what the doctor prescribes. So we all
right.
know somebody knows somebody who has a person with an addiction. That person with an addiction would do anything in order to fulfill that high. So now you have people who are sick, they're dying. Now you
Mhm.
have people who are addicted. Now they're fixing to go to jail because they're going to do anything to fulfill that addiction. They're going to steal. They're going to rob. Some of them may even unalive you. So then you have an overcrowding of the jail system. Now you
Which
have
what we
business,
got now?
right? So now you have an economy that's already strained and failing. Now it's through the floor now because there's no way you can pick it back up from there. And this hurts us as a culture more than anything. One of the craziest things I hear people say is Barack Obama didn't do anything for us. That's crazy to me because the amount of African American men that now sees a doctor has more than tripled since 2012, 2013. That was after the Affordable Care Act was passed. That means more of us have insurance. More of us are going to the doctor. More of us are living longer lives. More of us are able to be productive. But it's harder to have the discussion that voting doesn't. Man, what are y'all gonna do for me? What do you want me to do specifically for you? Because when it comes to me making laws, the laws that I make, uh, I'm not the only person that can get them passed. So what happens in the way the legislative process is I take a bill to committee. If it don't pass committee, it don't make it to the House, it don't make it to the Senate, it don't make it to the governor's desk. So you may not ever see any of the bills that I tried to bring forward because the committee said we don't feel like this is equitable or equal to everybody else. It doesn't mean I'm not trying, but if there's not enough people in the House or in the Senate that's on these committees to help make these decisions, then we'll forever be in that position. We have more of us
Right.
going to jail, and I say us, and I speak directly to African Americans. We have more of us going to jail in this time than ever before. Why? Because we've allowed other people to take the reins, people who don't care about our well being, people who want to hold us back economically and keep us in poverty. The only way we're able to overcome poverty is, again, is those simple things. Right now, they have put legislation in place to help other people succeed. We have to take advantage of that same legislation. As much as
Correct.
I as much as I don't like the Learns Act, one thing that I do like about it is that there's a piece of it that focuses on career technical education. That's welding, that's electricians, that's CNAs, that's what anything outside of your normal college life. I would encourage everybody to go to college. You know what I'm saying? That wants to, because let me tell you, I had some times at ASU, but but on the other side of it, everybody ain't made for it. You heard me say that my degree didn't come from Arkansas State University. My degree came from John Wesley University. Why? Because
Hmm.
I kicked it too hard at ASU. That's just, we keeping it
Yeah.
real. We
Yeah,
keeping it
ASU
real.
did have some parties. Yeah, they used
Back
to
in the day,
party.
they
Yeah.
don't have them like
They
that no
don't
more.
do it now, but they used to party. Yeah.
Man. But it's all about understanding what, and the Bible tells us we perish because of the lack of knowledge, and that's the biggest thing we as a people. I've heard a man, one of my mentors told me, he gave me a quote, and he said, "If you ever want to hide something from a black person,
Put it in the book.
put it in a book.
Yeah.
Put it in a book."
Yeah.
It, at first, I thought reading these bills were going to be hard, but then I sit down and I start reading some of the stuff that was in, it, and I was like, "This ain't hard. Like this is basic information. This is basic knowledge." You
Right.
know, we even have AI at our fingertips now, where we can take screenshots and we can put it in AI and say, condense this to a fifth grade understanding level, because they say the average American they comprehend on a fifth grade reading level.
So with that, I feel that's a problem because even though we have AI at our fingertips, I feel it's gonna hurt us more than help us because
Yeah.
now we are basically without knowing programming ourselves mentally as robots. So
Hmm.
now is muscle memory. You know, your muscle memory is everything. So now
Hmm.
your muscle memory isn't needed to think because when something pop up, you go into AI to let them tell you what it means, what you should do, how you react, and everything like that. So which AI is cool. I highly feel like it only should be used for like certain things.
Hmm.
Because like you said, you know, I didn't understand about politicians or anything like that until there's a guy named Duke. He my friend on Facebook. I know him in school. He was talking about running for mayor and stuff like that, which made me look into the politics. And then of course you pop up and you talk about the House of Representatives and stuff. What I feel like we never really understood is, like you said earlier, it's things on the federal level and it's things on the state level.
Hmm.
And we worry about stuff on the federal level so much that we don't even realize things on the state level is really in our control and it has nothing to do with the president of the United States.
Hmm.
Um, and I also heard you talk about the career fields and things like that. Which leads to my next question, which is like the education system. You know, how does that help us as far as the education system? Because I feel that we are like behind a lot when it comes to that regard.
Arkansas is ranked in the bottom. I think the last time the governor spoke, she said we were 39th in the country when it comes to education. I don't believe that's true. I believe we're still at 43,
That's
because
even worse.
it is. And so I say that. So, and a lot of people, and I said about Learns. Let me explain Learns. Learns is the education model that was put forth by the state legislator. That pretty much put X amount of dollars in EFA accounts, which is education freedom accounts. These accounts could be used for private school, charter school, or homeschool, right?
Mhm.
Um, People can do what they want to do, but I worked in mental health for over 10 years, and I personally don't agree with homeschool. That's just my opinion. Uh, The Learns Act put the power of education in the hands of parents. This is my problem with that. They're sitting in front of a computer all day. There's no interaction with outside people, or you're going to private schools. Private schools are taking all this money, and there's a misunderstanding. And I say private schools taking all this money. The money's still in education, but if the kids are not enrolled in public schools, that means public school is not getting the money. But these
Right.
private schools is getting the money, and so when it comes to the way things are looked at, the way things are viewed, or how the testing is done, you use a small percentage of students that are in private school, and you boost your numbers. And now it looks like our state is doing better, but we're actually doing worse. I ran into some kids the other day that cannot write in cursive. People say, "Well,
They
what's the
don't. They
problem?"
don't, they don't
What?
teach that no more.
Right. And so somebody asked me, "What's the problem?" I said, "In a world now of identity theft, and like that is one of the most that makes it the easier. That makes you more vulnerable because I can duplicate basic letters, but you can't necessarily duplicate a signature. They're not even teaching kids now. Like I have what you call a doctor signature. I'm not a doctor at all, but I have that signature. It's one of those quick scribbles, but there's you can see the S and you can see the C. That's all that matters. But they're not even doing that. My daughter signed something the other day, and I looked at her and I said, "What are you doing? That's not a signature." And she was like, "Daddy, yes, it is. No, it's not." So again, that's hurting us. That's hurting us in ways. And again, we're not voting. So, and let me break this model down to you. I talked about the EFA accounts, which is the education freedom accounts. That money comes from what they call the general fund. The general fund it funds the infrastructure, your roads, your parks, your lights, your hospitals, healthcare. That's what the general fund, like the taxes that we pay now, that is
Right.
what it's supposed to. That's what it's supposed to pay. But instead of it, that gave a $500 million, almost $500 million to private schools, charter schools, and homeschool, and they don't have the same restrictions or guidelines as public schools.
Mm.
Man, we did a FOIA, which is a Freedom of Information Act, on some stuff, and people were going out buying Oakley shades. They're buying polo outfits. They like, come on, bro. Somebody bought a chicken coop. Like,
Oh, so like, so y'all can actually see like, so we can actually see where this money going to.
yeah, you can see it. Yeah, yeah.
I
So
ain't
that
know
so,
that.
so there's something called FOIA, Freedom of Information, that anybody can do one. You can do it on any government entity, any public. Like you can go to the mayor's office right now, and you can request a FOIA for whatever. You can go to the police station, and I'm not gonna go too far into it because you and I work together. But that is how we're able to get that body cam footage. That's how we're able to get the police reports. That's how we're able to get the car camera footage. Any jail records, anything like that, any court records. All we have to do is for you, and it's available to anybody in the public. And they have to respond
Okay.
within 72 hours, or they have to report to the Attorney General of Arkansas.
Okay. Okay. So you say they not using the money for the schools and the education system. So like, I had an episode that I did around when I first started doing these podcasts with a group of people, and we talked about the nonprofit organizations and things like that.
Hmm.
I actually text the guy, uh, Pressure, DJ Pressure. I do a lot of stuff with him. And one thing I had told him was I wanted to find a way to have some free event for the kids, either monthly or every other month.
Hmm.
With a requirement is them having good grades and not having any disciplinaries for the month or two of school. And
Hmm.
with that, how would you think I will be able to do that? Because I feel that we need to educate our youth more because the grown people, it's kind of, I ain't gonna say it's too late, but it's kind of like, too late to touch them.
So I'm gonna start by saying I can tell you that if I can get enough of the young people registered, I will win this election hands down, no questions asked. But to answer your question directly, first thing I would do is I would start a nonprofit. That nonprofit, whatever it may be, then I would apply for grants. See, community service block grants are grants that the city give out. So grants that the state give out. They give that money to the cities to distribute around. I would apply for those things. And then I would host fundraisers. I would build a pot of money, identifying what I'm doing. I think one of the biggest mistakes that the generation that we're dealing with now, uh, yes, we want culture specific things, but the hardest part about that is we live in a society that know that if we get our foot in the door, man, we ain't one just coming in. We're all coming in.
Yeah, we
That's just
coming
it.
through. Yeah.
I I did a podcast with Charles Mabry the other day. So it's been a couple
Okay.
months ago. I did a podcast with him, and he said, "Man, he said Shamal, he said the biggest thing is, look, I don't want for you to give me a handout. I just want you to give me just let me in the door. That's it. You
Yeah.
let me in the door, and I'll show you I'm supposed to be there." That's what
That's kind
Shamal
of how I
did.
feel too. That's kind of how I feel too.
Yeah, and that's what Shamal did. Listen, you let me in the door. Not only am I gonna show you that I belong here, but I'm gonna show you that I'm bringing a generation of people behind me. And look, and this is my thing, man. I have one of my mentors, great friend of mine. One thing that he always taught me is, look, I can't make all the money in the world. He said, man, you write grants just like I write grants. He said, it's enough work out here for everybody. So why would I harbor how I got to where I was? And this guy's a millionaire. How would I harbor how I got where I was without giving you at least the playbook? I can't make you run the plays like I do, but I can give you a playbook. I can guide you. I can coach you. But it's up to you how you get in the game. It's up to you how you make the decisions to be successful. I can't make those decisions for you. So I say that to the generation coming, which is your age and younger. Look, I can give you the playbook. I mean, I can hold your hand and I can walk you through it a couple times. But after a while, I got to take you off the bottle. It's time for some solid food. At some point, now it's time for you to put, you know what I'm saying, put your boots on the ground. That's what everybody's saying now. I hate this song. But it's time for you to put your boots on the ground. You know what I'm saying? It's
And
time for
get
you
to
to stand up
working.
for yourself. You
Yeah.
know, we have to learn not to get emotional. That is, man, and I see that a lot with the younger kids. And that's my thing, man. I'm always in these rooms, and I'm sitting there, and I go back to a situation that happened earlier in the year, um, and it's just like we were so emotional that we didn't think about we had people at the table already. We just had to get to those people first. But instead of us getting to those people first, we wanted to do it our way, and I think that hurt us. Not in that situation, but in the long run, because we have, and I tell people all the time, we have the Dr. King way, and we have the
And the
Malcolm X way.
Malcolm X.
But
That's,
we see who, even though they both were assassinated, who do they
I
talk
love
about most in history?
I love Malcolm X. You're right. They talk about Martin Luther King. I feel it's because it's the way they prefer to deal with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Malcolm X way, in my opinion, he brought us together stronger as a force in the community.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't no turning the other cheek. It was, you mess with ours, we mess with yours. You're gonna treat us right. We're not gonna back down. And that's the type of person I am. Which obviously people that know me, they know.
Yeah.
And like that's what I'm trying to bring to my community, my people. Like I got little cousins. I call them my nieces and nephews. I love them dearly. I try to do as much as I can for them,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't want to just stop at them. I want it to spread through the kids because we go to these parks, City Water and Light Park. At first we went, it was problems with the police and stuff like that. Eventually they kind of gave us a little freedom. But
Mhm.
when you at these parks, you got these kids that live in that community that
Mhm.
come to these parks. People barbecuing and stuff like that, giving out money, and you see these kids around here that need the proper guidance in these situations. So like going to trade school, becoming a politician. I feel like we need more people in the police force. We need more doctors. We need more lawyers. We need more prosecutors. You
Mhm.
know, we need more people that want to be the mayor. And I feel like that's something that us as a community and a culture we need to try to get to, which is why I asked about the nonprofit organizations because I want to find a way where we can touch the youth and the younger generation before they hit 18 and start going out into the free world. I feel if we was able to do that, it will help us more because now you have a whole generation that's been dying to get to this age so they can enforce these things
Mhm.
versus trying to talk to the grown people who are already around here living life, already in debt, already going through whatever they're going through because they
Mhm.
looking for the change to happen tomorrow,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
And it's not, and it's not gonna happen overnight. It's not. Like the unfortunate side of things. And I say this, so people understand. Yes, once I get elected, I go to Little Rock January 11th and get sworn in. If people feel like the day that I walk in the door that I'm gonna bring reparations back to Northeast Arkansas, I can't tell you that's what's gonna happen. I can tell you that every time there's something that comes up that I feel like it's not right, not only am I going to be loud about it, but I'm going to make sure that it's on record that I oppose it, and I'm going to find ways to stop this stuff from happening to us specifically. It here, like, and I think about it. I serve on the board of directors for uh, uh, North Jonesboro. It's a we have a nonprofit over there, and we got a food pantry, right? It's called North Jonesboro Development Corporation. And every Monday we give out food, right?
Right.
Every Monday we run out. We're only open for like 2, 3 hours. And we have people lined up before we open. Yet instead we have politicians right now that are more focused on men and women's sports. Which by the way, there's never been a case of that in Arkansas. They're more focused on books in the library, yet we're the hungriest state in the whole country. So I can personally say when I go there, I'm going to fight and I'm going to look for money for programs like you're talking about. We're going to try to find money to put toward programs like that. Will it happen overnight? No. Because the state of this country, it didn't happen overnight. It wasn't because just a Democrat. It wasn't because a Republican. It was because people in Washington, D.C. did not care about what we were dealing with right here in Arkansas. And people in Arkansas focused specifically on what was going on in Washington, D.C.
Correct. Yeah,
You know,
correct.
that's the biggest thing.
And that's and I know I keep speaking on us as black people, but also like because I have some white coworkers that tune in. I have white Facebook friends that support me a lot, and I feel like it need to be a way where we can get everybody together. As a culture thing, a safe place for all us to come together, love each other, respect each other, try to understand each other because the whole race thing that happens between us, I feel that is what discourages us as black people the most because we look at it as if, oh well, we black and they're gonna treat us a certain type of way anyway. Versus if we have these Caucasians that say, nah, we actually want to see y'all do better and we want to see y'all make a change. We want to see y'all come out of poverty. We want to go against all these people that's against y'all. I feel that help us a whole lot as far as our culture.
Hmm.
Teach us how to love each other. Teach us how to about taxes and credit and you know
Yes.
businesses and things like that.
So for instance, I did something in Truman because Truman's part of my district. I teamed up with a young lady over there that's running for mayor. She just so happened to be a Republican. She just so happened to be Caucasian. So she did a movie in the park, and I did barbecue. Right? Those two things brought everybody together.
Right.
So this coming Saturday, same thing. Man, we got bounce houses. I'm gonna get on the grill because more than anything, I know I'm running for office,
Is
but I'm gonna serve
is that at is it my bad?
Allen
Is that
Park.
at Allen Park? Okay,
Yeah,
I thought it was Friday. It's
it's gonna be
Saturday.
it's gonna be Saturday
What
from
time?
six to eight. I think
Okay,
it's six. To,
okay,
I think it's 6 to 8. I'll drop the flyer when we get off of here. Um,
okay.
but bro, we got a dunking booth, man, where they can saying they can throw the ball to dunk me. We got bounce houses. We got plenty of food. We got games. We got gas card giveaways. Man, we got different things like that. One thing that I can promise is I love to have a good time. And so, one thing that me as an elected official out of my pocket, one thing that I want to do is every quarter I want to have a family event like this. Whether it's
Which is
what I'm
kind
saying,
of like I was talking about.
yeah, yeah. So whether it's in the wintertime, so I've been doing something called Spirit of Giving. I started it back in 2017. So what the spirit of giving is I get all the elected officials, be the mayor, city councilman. I reach out all the way across the board, and we partnered in the past when I worked for Mid South Health System, which is now Rest Health. We got families, and we told those families, "Hey, we want to serve you." So I wrote a grant to Toys for Tots, and we got toys for 100 kids. Each kid got two toys apiece. We had a family coalition. We put those toys in bags. Everybody in the house got a gift. You came, we fed you Christmas dinner. You got toys. We had guest speakers. You were able to take family pictures, and it didn't cost these families anything. Well, this is a program I feel like that, you know what I'm saying, I can pick back up at this point and we can continue to give because, man, one thing that I learned, in the past, low self-esteem is something that people of our culture deal with a lot of times. And it all goes back to slavery. We were always told that we could not look people of other ethnicity in the eyes. We're supposed to walk with our head down. That
Mhm.
trickled into us not feeling like we were enough. And so I feel like every chance I get to take professional pictures, bro, I promise, I got more headshots and professional. You would think I was a fat model, like, but you have to love yourself. I think by putting forth these programs, allowing these people to have professional headshots. When we do these flyers, it drives me crazy when I see a flyer and you know what I'm saying. You got a picture where you done cropped your friends out on the side of it. You got to be
Yeah,
professional. Spend like
yeah.
and
You right.
if we can get photographers to come out and say, "I tell you what, we're gonna do," and say with this nonprofit you're talking about, you know what I'm saying? We could do something every month if you wanted to, but every month you offer a different skill. Man,
Correct.
I learned how to mow yards. My grandfather taught me how to use a lawnmower and a weed eater when I was like 8. I learned how to cook. I learned different skills, life skills, so I never have to depend on anybody. That's one thing
Yeah.
that I can wash my own clothes. I can change my own oil. If there's a flat, I can change a tire. Those are skills that I can balance a checkbook. I don't know how many young people even know how to write a check. You
I
know,
don't think they teach that no more either.
and that's crazy. That is
I mean,
absolutely
I mean, I
crazy.
I, I don't know, but I got younger cousins. I mean, I got kids. I have yet to run across anybody because I learned how to write checks when I was in third or fourth grade. That's when
Hmm.
they taught us how to write checks.
Yeah,
Uh, I haven't ran across anybody yet talking about writing checks. I haven't ran
yeah.
across nobody talk about banks. Nothing. But like I said, that goes back to what I was saying earlier about Arkansas education system
Hmm.
because I honestly feel like the whole state of Arkansas is so far behind. We
Hmm.
catch up on trends late. We catch up on things that we should know, like basically like this voting for the House of Representatives. Like it took me 20 plus years before I even knew the importance of electing a person in the House.
Yeah.
Um, which I learned about it from watching the TV show. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
Like, like if I'm being honest, I was like, what? Well, dang, that makes sense. So like that is one thing like that's heavy on my heart is doing what you said. I wanted to start a nonprofit organization. I mean, like you said, you can lead me to, you can show me the play, and I just have to, do it
walk in
myself.
it.
Yeah, and I'm willing to do that. Not just for me though, but I got a couple people that I feel like would be beneficial to the cause. Um, because like I said, I really do want to help create a new generation, a better generation
Yes.
than what we live in today.
Hmm.
But education is one of the biggest things that I worry about with our youth. And another thing is life insurance.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have life insurance. A lot of people I see having to sell food plates, do GoFundMe accounts, and I feel like that's another thing we have to fix.
So one thing, and I'm gonna address both of those. One thing, I was on Facebook earlier today, and I was looking at I was looking at this food truck in Tennessee or Mississippi. One of them caught on fire. Right,
Mhm.
dude posted his story. Dude raised $43,000 in 2 days. 43K in 2 days. I've been running the race that I'm running right now since July of last year. So about 13 months is how long I've been running. And the hardest thing is to do is get people to invest in something that can affect them directly. Um,
Mm.
so I've raised money, but ask me where the money came from. It didn't come from people that will be directly affected by the legislation that I put forth. It came from the people that believed in me, right? So when
Right.
you have these conversations, and it all ties into the life insurance, is what are you willing to invest in? Because nobody's investing in your future until you invest in your own future. That's
Correct.
the biggest thing. We want somebody to give us, man, and that's the biggest thing. I said when I leave this earth, all of my children's gonna be taken care of. They're all gonna be taken care of because I'm making a decision now to be more effective and to actually be boots on the ground per se, because I have life insurance. People don't understand. You don't have to have life insurance. You can actually go up to Woodard and get a burial policy. A burial policy costs you maybe $20 a month, maybe
What
for
is
a
that? What
basic. Say it again.
I said, what is that? I never heard of that before.
A burial policy is not life insurance. A burial policy is an insurance policy, but it's taken out directly through like the funeral home. And so if something happens to you, your family have the money for like the casket, the embalming, and the funeral services. The money, depending on how much it is, the money is not paid directly to the family. I mean, even if you wanted to get into talking insurance, talking whole or term life insurance, people don't understand if you get a whole life insurance policy now that when you get ready to retire, you can draw money off of that. Or is it term? It's either one of them. It may be either or. But there's two different kind of life insurance policies, and I'm thinking on the top of my head, and I can look at it right quick. But you can actually use that money when you retire. Your insurance policy that you've paid your entire life, when you get in your 60s and you retire, you can draw money off of that.
I
It's
never
setting
knew that.
yourself up for later on in life.
Okay.
I'm looking that up.
I ain't know that. I just asked because I do know you said that the health care and the health insurance was one of your biggest things, and
Yeah.
and it made me think about life insurance, which is actually is actually a girl I know. She worked for Affleck, and she tried to sell life insurance, and it's not something easy to sell to our people because I mean I didn't have life insurance policy offered to me, and I just look at it like what I'm paying for that for. But now I got a job, which offer us some good life insurance, and
Hmm.
that's what I pay into every week. but before the job and stuff, I never really kind of understood. Um, and like to your point with the health insurance, I do go to the doctor way more than I used to when I was younger. Like I go to the doctor about every little thing now, and my insurance pay for it.
Yeah,
I'm about to
yeah,
say you doing a little staticky.
yeah. I'm trying to figure out where it's coming from. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's good.
It's it's still doing it. I think.
Okay, it's fine. We coming up on time. So before we get off, I do want to ask um a few questions, which I want to ask what you want to accomplish in your first year. You know, you said something about health insurance, but let's just say, you know, we get you elected, and of course, things not going to change overnight. But that first year of being in the seat, what's some of the things you want to accomplish that first year?
I want to learn, man. Uh, man, my first term. I want to go in there and I want to learn how the system works from within. Right now, we're looking at it from the outside looking in. You know what I'm saying? I want to go
Mhm.
in my first term, and I'm sure bills will be passed that I'll be able to co-sponsor. I'll be able to vote on. But going in the door, I want to learn when it comes to the appropriations of money. I want to learn how, in whatever committee I'm on, I want to learn how I can be effective, and I want to listen to the people of my district and see what they need. Going in my first term after my session, I want to host town halls in every city. I have 4 cities in my district. In every city, I want to host a meet and greet in a town hall, and I want to listen to the problems that they're dealing with. I can tell you all day long that I want to go in there and I want to pass legislation so we can have universal health care for everybody. I know that's not possible. What do I want to do though? I want to go in and I want to be able to have access to healthcare clinics in our rural areas. I live in Jonesboro, but I come from Wynn. So I understand when it comes to rural communities and access to quality healthcare. I understand that's a big deal. So when I go
Right.
in, I want to learn ways to be effective. I don't want to go in just hollering and screaming and acting like I'm making a difference. I want to actually make a difference. And it's not necessarily a legacy thing, but it's more so being about what I talk about and not being the status quo of what everybody else is doing right now, collecting a paycheck, and just doing something just for the sake of it.
Okay. Okay. So so when you do get this seat, how would everybody that's voting for you know you actually doing all these things and working for them? Because you know a lot of times a lot of politicians feed us a lot of stuff to get our votes, and
Mhm.
then once they get to where they're going, they shift to a different
Yeah.
person.
So one thing would be, the Bible tells us we have to study to show ourselves to be efficient in what we know we're talking about, right? Everything when it comes to the legislative process is public. It's public record. So every vote that I have, every bill that I sponsor, that I co-sponsor, every piece of legislation that I vote on, literally it's literally right there for everybody to see. So when I have my town halls, this is information that I'll present. When you tell me that you have an issue with your unemployment and you can't get your unemployment, you should be able to call me and say, "Hey, can you make a phone call on the state level and see why I haven't got my unemployment?" I won't take myself out of my community. No matter what I do, yes, when you make more money, you get bigger houses and et cetera, et cetera. But I will remain vigilant in my community. The same barbershop that we go to, when you go there on Friday, hey, we'll be in there together talking stuff with J
Hey, let me
Roll.
tell them what days I go to the barbershop.
but man, me and
Now I'm
you
gonna have to
banks
switch up
and
my bookie.
see, I ain't telling what day I go. I ain't telling what day
Look,
I
you told them the day I went though.
go. but
Hey,
like remaining, visual in the community. That is the biggest, visible. I'm saying it right. Yeah, in the community. That's my biggest thing. But also showing everybody, hey, this is what we're doing. And if we can build this coalition of young men and young women that want to be a part of this process, man, that right there within itself, that shifts the tide. Imagine if we build a coalition of people from the county government level all the way to the federal government. I
Right.
had a Republican tell me one time the way they get legislation passed is they mirror what they do on, like, so in Arkansas. I had a legislator specifically say, well, the reason why this didn't pass that time is because it hadn't been passed on the federal level. When they passed it on the federal level, I changed my vote because I knew I had support. And what that support means is, okay, if I take it to the Supreme Court, this is law on the Supreme level and on the federal level and on the Arkansas Supreme Court level. So I know that you can't take it to court and get it thrown out in so many words.
Okay.
So yes, that changes things. I can tell you that I'm focused on healthcare, but if I can be honest with you, man, I'm focused on building people like yourself. I'm focused on building another generation of people, because right now there's a gap in that generation of people who are actually serving our community. You know what I'm saying? It's more about kickbacks, popping bottles and spending bands more so than it's about being there for your brother and your sister.
Which, and the problem is because it is no fun in a lot of these things, and we don't see the opportunities. And going back to like what you said, like the criminal justice system and things like that. Like with you getting these seats, is there like something that you think you could fight to change?
Yes, yes. So for instance, we're gonna talk about the young lady. We're gonna talk about it, but we're not gonna talk about it. The
I
young
got you.
lady in the state trooper, right?
Right.
So the Arkansas Democratic Black Caucus in the NAACP, we all seen the video, right? So uh you have people who are legislators now that are coming forth to say, this is not right. So we're able to look at what legislation can we put forth now. We found out in this process that state troopers don't wear body cameras. Why
They
don't state
don't.
troopers wear body
I
cameras?
I was wondering that when he said something about her throwing the clipboard and all that. I was like, why they never released the body cam footage?
Because they have audio on them, but from my understanding, they don't have the actual cameras on them. They go by the cameras on the front of those cars. What makes them above a city cop or a highway patrolman or a county cop? So I'm in a position now to, or when elected to their seat, we ask those questions, because when you're on the outside asking those questions, they feel like, okay, we don't have to answer you. You don't know nothing about this. But because we make laws that directly affect them doing their job, you have to give me what I call accountability. So
Correct.
why don't you have on a body camera? Because right
Correct.
now, I have people that are arguing on both sides. I have one side that's saying, hey, she shouldn't do what she did. Hey, at the end of the day, he had no right to do what he did. I don't care
Correct.
what she did. You did not act professionally or ethically or morally when we came to slamming this girl and balling your fist up to punch her in the face. But on the other side of it, you want to point out what she did. So how about we have the whole conversation, not a portion of it?
Yeah. Which that's what I was. That's why I was. Which personally, I feel the way I feel because things I really ain't gonna get into.
I know. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, which I did on my last pod when I actually talked about it. People brought it up. I spoke on it briefly, but
Hmm.
my experience with the police and stuff like that. So the way I feel is gonna always kind of be biased to an extent. But
Hmm.
wrong is wrong and right is right. And my thing was, you're right. The body cam footage never came out, so they may not wear body cams, and that is a problem because when when we entrust these people to protect and serve us, and all we seeing is them doing what they do, it's kind of hard. Which we don't see a lot of, like I said earlier, black people on the force, and
Hmm.
that's one thing. Like with you getting this house seat, I'm hoping we could change. Not only that, but the laws. Like you said earlier, the 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 Huckabee made it where you got to do 100% on certain charges, and a lot of people are first offenders on these charges. Like this their first mistake they ever made, and so with that being said, you think like getting in those seats is ways you can help, or is that above what you do?
No, so you can very well suggest legislation and go meet with other sponsors for the bills. Uh, like I said, it's a process, and the process is layered. So you start in committee. The bill goes from committee to House, from House to Senate, and then it may go back to House before it goes to the governor's desk. But it's a process to it. But if you get enough people with enough evidence and we argue these facts enough, then we can definitely change the law and fix the legislation to where there's a point to where there's accountability and there's opportunity. People talk about, and I'm gonna use, and ICE is on the federal level. But I'm gonna use this for example. People talk about Barack Obama deporting more people than Donald Trump.
Donald Trump, right?
They talk about that, but I explained to them I never said that I was against immigration enforcement. I said that I was against inhumane immigration enforcement. And you're
Right.
pretty much putting these people in concentration camps and you're snatching people out of schools and out of churches. So again, you're able to help out in ways that one person might not understand, but putting forth legislation to support other people is going to be the biggest thing. And I can't just say it's black people, because there's some
Yeah.
Caucasians, there's some Mexicans, there's some Marshallese, there's some Asian. There are other people that are, that are disadvantaged by this current administration, that are disadvantaged by some of these biased laws that are being put forth right now. And it's up to me or whoever sits in these seats to fight against them. And the only way we can fight against them is sitting at the table. We can't fight against them per se just sitting outside.
Right. And I feel that the biggest thing that hurt us is the the marijuana charges. Oh, you disappeared.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
you go. I'm about to say you static and I don't know what's going on.
I don't know what's going on either. I told you Meta didn't want to let me on here, man.
Yeah, I guess they know what we talking about. But yeah, so yeah, so the last question, and then I'm gonna let you go because of the technical difficulty. But how do you feel we fix those marijuana charges that got a lot of people?
So, we live in the Bible Belt, right?
Mm,
And I say that is because we have just as many churches as we have banks, right? So I don't feel we'll never be able to decriminalize it, but I also feel like there's an opportunity come together and make it where we can have legislation that supports us being able to expand what medical marijuana looks like. And the
gotcha.
expansion of it allows you to possess it. But on the other side of it, we have to learn. I know a young man who got his marijuana card just to have the card, but he still wanted to buy his weed on the street. Well, that ain't gonna work. We we have to learn to at least play by the rules. You know what I'm saying? Until we can find a formidable solution. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Yeah,
so whereas marijuana is a hot topic. It's a hot topic. And everybody have their own feelings when it comes to it. Do I feel like it's a gateway drug? I don't know because I've never studied it. I made a status on my Facebook just because you went to college for it. Don't mean you're an expert in it. I don't feel like I'm an expert in it at all, so I can't make informed decisions about it. My day job is me advocating for prevention, so I can tell you all day long not to do it. But at the end of the day, people gonna do what they want to do, and
correct.
so it has become a $1 billion industry throughout the United States. We talk about being able to feed hungry children and being able to feed families, and we talk about healthcare, and we talk about all these things. I personally feel like, hey, why don't you put a tax on it? Put a tax on it, allow that money to go back into the general fund, into infrastructure, and us be able to build, because people are going to do it whether we want them to or not. You putting them in
Right.
prison, literally, it puts a bigger burden on us as Arkansans, because we have to then foot the bill for their health care. We then have to foot the bill for their food. The three hot, what the three hots in a cot. We gotta foot that bill as taxpayers. So let's look at ways, and not necessarily decriminalize it, but look at ways to make the system more efficient. Because right now we don't have an efficient system, because we have people serving 10 to 15 years because they had 2 ounces of marijuana. You say, well, they were a repeat offender. Well, are they self-medicating? Let's get them some help. Versus, you know what I'm saying, locking them up. But that's my stance on it. Like I said, find ways to make a more efficient system, because people have been smoking weed for years, way before I was
Decades.
way before I was indicted.
Decades.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
Decades.
we just have to find a more efficient system, again, to bring in revenue, to build our communities, and to fund programs like the one that you talked about earlier, being able to do something with these kids and give them something constructive to do, versus them, going out and partaking, or starting to deal, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the biggest way, I think, when it comes to the marijuana side of things, that we can, kind of combat it.
Okay. Okay. Well, I appreciate you for coming on and talking to us and giving us a little insight. I actually learned a lot that I didn't know. Is there anything you want to say before you close out?
Sure, sure. Man, anybody that want to volunteer on my campaign, man, hit me up on my page. Man, we do something called canvassing, where we knock doors and we put door hangers up, man. Get asking people to get out and vote. Early voting starts October 16th all the way through November the 2nd. Election day is on November the 3rd. On Saturday, we're having, you know what I'm saying, a back to school bash up the street at Allen Park. DJ Pressure is the DJ. We got burgers, we
My
got
guy.
hot dogs, chips, water. We got a dunk booth. If y'all want to come out, man, and throw some balls at the little thing, man, and try to dunk me in the dunk booth, man, we got that going on. More so than anything, I want to say this to everybody that's watching. If we can register y'all to vote, just hear me out. If we can register y'all to vote, we can really make a difference. And we can build a coalition of young men to be more professional and to be more effective in our society today. Because one thing that I've learned is population control is real. I've learned that, okay, I'm against abortions because I can put people back in poverty situations. I can control a narrative if I can control the amount of kids being born, if I can control the contraceptives that's being taken, I can control the population of people. I want our families to know that we have an opportunity now. Our friends, our young men, our young women, to know we have an opportunity now to make a difference. So we'll have voter registration forms out there. If you want to register to vote, just call me, man. I can walk you through the form. I can take it. I can take you up there to turn it in. Uh, I need you. I need you, J Rock. I need pressure. I need this generation. I need to register y'all to vote. And if you don't have voting rights, hey, let's work on getting them back. It's
Right.
simple. Hey, I got people. I got people that know more people. We can get your rights
Uh,
back. But we
Trust
just
me,
need y'all to vote.
I'm gonna definitely be hitting you up. I gotta get this record experience by the end
Hey,
of this year.
I
I
got you.
need to get that. I need to get that done for sure.
Hey, we in there. Hey, I got an attorney in Win right now. Shameless plug, Leah Walker, man. She your age, dog.
I
Coming
seen.
up.
I know. I seen. I seen her. I
Them my
seen her.
people.
Yep.
Them my people. So definitely, man, I got you. Hey, get with me. You got my personal number. Hey, man, let's work. We got 80, 81, 82 days until the election. Hey, on November 4th, I want to wake up, Representative elect Shamal Carter for Northeast Arkansas, and be the first African American elected in Jonesboro, Arkansas, to the state legislature. And I want to say that it was young people like y'all that made sure I got there.
I got you, man. So for y'all that hear that, we got a mission. Like I said, I do appreciate you for coming on tonight. talking with us, giving us your time, letting us know your insights and how you feel and how you think. I do feel that we do need to get out and vote. Hopefully, we can encourage more and more people to get out and vote. Uh, Not just because of the color of your skin, but because of the change that we are trying to make. I also hope that we can get more people of our color to get into the politics sides of the world because us shying away is the biggest problem in my personal opinion. That's the biggest problem. So we need to get out and vote for House of Representatives. We need to get out and vote for the governor of the state. We need to get out and vote for the chief of police, the judges and everything. So like this really was a eye opener for me. I don't know about everybody else, but I hope it opened their eyes to a lot as well. So I do appreciate you for coming and giving us that insight.
But the last thing I'll say, and then I get off here because I'm old and tired.
He said old and tired.
We when we don't vote, it's a vote for them. You say, "Well, I voted for nobody." Well, that means you actually voted for them because your vote could have been a deciding vote on who represented you in Little Rock or who represented you in DC. So I always remember if you say, "Well, I don't vote, so it don't matter if I voted or not." Yes, it did, because your vote could have been a deciding vote on who will be able to sit in that seat.
I agree with that.
So, but that's all I got for you, man. I appreciate you. Hopefully, man, you have me back before the election, and man, we can talk about something else. But I appreciate the opportunity, man.
No problem. I appreciate you too.
All right, man. Well,
All right.
I'll holler at you, bro.
All righty. So I appreciate everybody that's tuned in. That was Shamal Carter. He's running for House of Representatives for Northeast Arkansas. So if y'all can get y'all voting, get registered to vote, get out to these polls, vote for them. And yeah, we got an event Saturday at Allen Park if y'all want to go meet him personally and get to know him a little more. But I feel like there's something like serious that we need to push behind. So appreciate y'all for tuning in, and I hope y'all enjoy it.
We gon' keep it rockin', rockin', rockin'. I hope we don't get kicked out the room. We gon' party like a rock band, rock band, rock band. Rock out in room 232. Bro told me it's some freak hoes with him. I see some thick hoes in here. I got these goals in my mouth. I got these diamonds in my ear. I need my drink cold in here. I need my shit pulled with beer. I'm running game on these hoes. I'm a cheat code in here. Yeah.